Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Mr. Harris, and I am the Northern Virginia director here. It is great to have you guys on. That song was named Second Line. A little bit of history about it. It's a song that came from New Orleans, and basically they would have marches, and on the first line you have whoever was in charge of the march, and then you also have the musicians, and on the second line you would have dancers, or basically the community in part of it. So that's why it's called Second Line. Well, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to start warming up, and we're going to talk about breathing a little bit. We're going to get into what's called B&B. Actually, before we get there, I just want everybody to comment what your instrument is, whether it's trombone, baritone, tuba. Just go for it. It's okay to type in. I can see it and all, and I just want to see who exactly I'm talking to. So go ahead and comment again if you're a trombone player, if you're a tuba player, if you're a baritone player. And so let's see what we have here. My phone is kind of sideways, but it's okay. Thank you, Brian. Awesome. Let's see. Well, great. Well, we're gonna just go ahead and get started. But so the first thing we're going to talk about again is breathing, and we talk about it very often. Okay, now I see some people answering. Great. So, but yeah, like I was saying, we're going to talk about breathing. Mr. Weir, Miss Shelton, everyone has really talked about breathing and the importance of it. But I do now want to talk about how it's really important for brass players, the importance of breathing, and also playing your instrument as a whole. So we're going to first talk about the do-nots in breathing, or what you shouldn't do. Mr. Weir hit on it earlier this week. If you're breathing, you shouldn't lift your shoulders up. That actually hurts your chances as far as breathing, because you're basically closing some places for air. Another thing that's kind of, I won't say a lie, but it's half of a truth, is that some people say, oh, when you breathe, your body goes in. That's not true. And then another thing, which is again half the truth, is that people say when you breathe, your stomach expands. Again, that's half the truth. What actually should happen is when you're breathing, your whole body expands. That includes your back, your side, even your chest should move. Because think about it, you're taking in air. So you're taking in oxygen, and then if you have your whole body expanding or growing in a sense, then you take out all that air, and then the air comes out. And so we're going to do exercises of breathing in for 4 and then out for 4. Then we're going to do that 4 times, and then we're going to go into breathe in for 4, out for 8. And then we're going to, again, do that 4 times, and then breathe in for 4 and out for 12 4 times. And so, but while we're doing that, that out for 4, that out for 8, and that out for 12 will be through buzzing. Buzzing is very important. It is the voice, while the instrument is the microphone. So if you can't buzz, then you're going to kind of struggle in playing. So again, you're going to come in for 4 and buzz out for 4. And what I have here is what I like to call Dr. Beat. Some people call them the metronome. This is what I use, but if you have one, you're more than welcome to use it. If you don't, just count to yourself. So I'm going to turn it up. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can hear that, but if you can't, that's fine. And so again, for 4 counts, in for 4, then out for 4. And we're going to do it 4 times. Here it is. 2, and 1, 2, 3, and breathe. And breathe. Great. So that's the first time that we did breathe for 4 and or in for 4 and then out for 4 counts. Now we're going to do in for 4, out for 8. When you breathe, make sure you pace your air. Take up as much air that you can. Don't second guess yourself and say, I don't think I can take it. You can take in more air. And then pace that air for the 8 counts. So again, we're going to do 4 for 8, and we're going to do that 4 times. Here it is. 1, 2, and 1, 2, breathe, and awesome. So that's our in for 4 and out for 8 for 4 counts. Side note, if you're yawning, that is great, because if you're yawning, that means you're using all the air and you're really pushing your body to a good limit. That's a good thing that happens if you're yawning or you eventually start to yawn. If you don't, again, it's fine. It's just something that I noticed when I was in college and we did the exercise. Like basically everybody in the marching band was yawning, and we're like, it's 10 o'clock at night, but still. And then our band director, he was like, oh, that's because you guys are doing the exercise correct. So again, if you're yawning, you're good. Now let's try in for 4 and then out for 12. Again, in for 4, out for 12, and we're going to do this 4 times. Here it comes. So 1, 2, and try your best. 1, 2, breathe, and breathe, and awesome. So I know that was a lot. I even tripped up on the first time. So I want you to comment in the comment section if you were able to do the in for 4 and out for 12. If you were able to do that, awesome, awesome, awesome. Great. So the next thing we're going to go into the next part of our warm up time. We're going to go on page 8. And we're going to do song number 15, and then after number 15, we're going to do 16. Again, page 8, song 15, and then we're going to do number 16. And we're going to put our B&B, which is breathe and buzz, into actual practice, or in the practice. And so here we are. So if we look at quarters worth, we can see that there are quarter notes, and then we have 4 counts to breathe, and then we have 4 counts to play, and then 4 counts to breathe, and 4 counts to play. So we're actually going to put this into practice. So let's go for it. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it without a metronome. If you want to do the exercise with one, you're more than welcome to. So here it goes. So it's 1, 2, 15, 1, 2, ready. So ask yourself, how did your quarter note sound? Did you sound like Woody the Woodpecker? An older generation will understand that. Basically, are you pecking on wood and your quarter notes sound like eighth notes? Or does your quarter notes sound to its full length that is connected to the next quarter note, but you're tonguing or articulating your note? At the same time, on those quarter rests, how are you breathing? Are you doing exactly what we did earlier? That we're pasting our air and then we're playing, or are you just breathing on one count? Which we'll talk about later, but that's not what we necessarily want to do. So let's do it again. Take up as much air and get that full sound that we're going for. Breathing is everything when we start to play. So we're going to do it one more time, and then we're going to go to number 16. But make sure you're breathing the right way. Here we go. So 1, 2, ready, and... Awesome. So now let's go into number 16. Now, what we didn't do in our exercise earlier was the whole case of the last thing we didn't do when we did the breathing exercise. We did in for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 8, and then in for 4, out for 12. In some cases, you don't have 4 counts to actually breathe, which is fine. And so sometimes you may have 1 count or 2 counts. And so in your warm-up time, which we just don't have time today, but in your warm-up time, in your practice time, practice doing in for 1, out for 4, then in for 1, out for 8. And then like the legends could do in for 1 and out for 12. And so if you're able to do that, make sure you send your teacher a video of you just playing your exercise or doing B&B, and you're doing in for 1, out for 4, in for 1, out for 8, and then in for 1, out for 12. And I believe a lot of you guys, if not all of you guys, can do that. So let's go into hot cross buns number 16, where this in for 1 is actually into practical sense that you're taking up as much air in 1 count, and you don't need to make a sound like no, don't do that. Just make sure and then go for it. And just take up as much air as you can. So again, we're going to play this together. This is our tempo here. Here we go. 1, 2, 16, and 1, 2, ready. So again, are we connecting the notes still in a legato style? That's connecting notes and legato are basically the same thing. Make sure we're doing that. We're taking in as much air as we can. In the sense, it's never too much of air. Just take up as much as you can and then let it out, pace it out. Also, I want to talk about measures number 4 and then measure 8. But let's go to measure 4. A lot of times people make the mistake of playing measures 3 and 4 like measures 1 and 2. And if you look close, measure 2 and measure 4 are not the same. Measure 2 is a whole note, which how many counts does it get? You guys can comment. Let's see who's the first one to comment. How many counts does a whole note get? Yes, Ryan, you got it. Yes, it's 4 counts. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Melissa. Yes, a whole note gets 4 counts. All right, let's try this again. Look at measure 4. How many counts does a half note get? Let's see who can be first on this one. And yes, it is 2. Natalie, you're on it. So yes, 2 counts. So it's a difference between measure 2 and measure 4. The whole note gets 4 counts. And then the half note in measure 4, excuse me, gets 2 counts. So now, and then also let's talk about measure 8. Measure 8, finish the race strong. Finish the song strong. How you start and how you finish is very important. So measure 8, don't say, I'm playing this whole note, but I'm gonna end it on 2 counts or 3 counts. Make sure that you play 4 full counts. Finish strong. So let's play Hot Cross Buns one more time, and then we're gonna go into our next session. Here we go. So song 16, 1, 2, make sure you breathe. 1, 2, ready, and awesome. I believe you guys did very well on that time. So now we're going to go into our next portion of our lesson. So the first portion was talking about breathing and the importance of breathing. Breathing just makes you a better player, hands down, if you can breathe appropriately and play your instrument. Now we're going to go to what we consider the technical side of playing. And so for brass players, we're going to talk about, or for trombone players, we're going to talk about slide precision. And then for baritone players, and if there's tuba players out there, we're going to talk about valve precision, excuse me. And so I have 1 or 2 songs that I'm gonna go over, but I want you to comment in the comment section. I want you to tell me what songs in the Red Book, in the Standard of Excellence book, that you find very difficult just because you can't move your slide fast enough or you can't get your fingers down. I want you to put in the comment section of what songs kind of gives you a difficult time, especially when you practice. I just want you to put that in the comment section, and I'll look over it and I'll go what will probably be the majority song, or the song that's sticking out the most. So let's look at, while you guys are doing that, we're going to look at 39. 39 is Crusaders March. Okay, so Crusaders March, I know a lot of schools have gotten to this song. It's one of my favorite, but it is also what I've been told one of the most technical songs. So if we look at page 11, 39 for Crusaders March, we can see in measure 1 that we have just B flat, a half note B flat, and then 2 quarter notes that happens. And then after that, we go to a 6th position C, and then right to a 2nd position 2 for A, and then B flat for 1st position. And so we have some interesting movements there. And so when it comes to slide precision and valve precision, my idea is that don't play first, but move your slide and move your valves first before you even make a sound. And so if we're looking at the first 2 measures, we're saying to ourselves 1, 1, 1, 6, 2, 1, right? And so we're taking it at a slow tempo. Maybe some classes go this fast. Ba, 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 ba. We're not gonna take it that fast right now. We're learning it. We're practicing it. We're trying to get it under our fingers or under our hands. And so if we're looking at measures 1 and 2, 1, 1, 1, 6, 2, 1. All right? And we continue doing that until we feel like we really have it. So again, it'll be 1, 1, 1, 6, 2, 1. Right? And so then once we feel like that we have it, then we go into those two measures. So we're going to do that one more time, and we're going to do it together. Measures 1 and 2 of just moving the slide, not making a sound. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 1, 1, 6, 2, 1. Right? And then obviously baritones and tubas, you're pressing the vowels. Now let's go for playing it. Let's look at measure 1 and measure 2, and let's try to play it this time. And make sure you're breathing and moving precisely where you want your slide to go and where your fingers to go. So here we go. 1, 2, right here, and 1, 2, ready, and how did you do? You can comment in a sec. You can comment if you want to. You don't have to. Let's try it again. Measures 1 and 2. Let's make sure we breathe, and then let's focus on putting the slide exactly where we want to go. So here it goes. 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, and great. So now let's look at measures 3 and 4. We're going to just take it 2 measures at a time. Let's look at measures 3 and 4. So measure 3, you can see that we have the same note is a D, a concert D, D half note, then 2 quarter notes that are Ds. Then we have an E flat, C, and D. Who can comment for measure 4? What are the slide positions for measure 4? Let's see who can be first. What are the slide positions for measure 4 for song 39? Oh, and vowels. I'm sorry, baritones. And also valve numbers. I can see those too. Awesome. Let's move forward. So measure 4, it's 3, 6, 4, right? 3, 6, 4. So now let's do measures 3 and 4. And let's try that. So starting at measure 3, going into 4 is just moving the slide. So 1, 2, ready, and 4, 4, 4, 3, 6, 4. Let's do it again. 1, 2, ready, and 4, 4, 4, 3, 6, 4. All right. Now let's try to play it this time. Let's go for playing. Remember, breathing, breathe in, and then give your best sound while you're still focusing, moving your slide or moving your fingers on your vowels. Here we go. 1, 2 measures 3 and 4. 1, 2, ready, and I'm sorry, I got a text message from somebody. Let me try that again. So measures 3 and 4. Let's try it again. 1, 2, ready, and awesome. Now let's add in measures 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, at measure 2, it's 6, 2, 1. And then in measure 4, it's 3, 6, 4. Let's give it a shot. Measures 1 through 4. Here we are. 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, and try it again. And let's make sure we get our slide in the right position. Here we go. 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, and too far. You probably went too far also. It's okay. So now let's look at measures 6 and 7. So in measure 6 we have an F, which is in first position, Then we have two G's which are in fourth position, which is very easy in this sense. Then when we look at measure, excuse me, that was measure 5. Measure 5, we have an F half note. Then we go into a G for those two quarter notes in measure 5. In measure 6, we have a half note F and then a quarter note F going to E flat. All right. So now let's do measures 5 and 6, just moving the slide again. So now we have 1, 4, 4. And that measure 5 is 1, 4, 4. Then when we look at measure 6, we go back to that F, which is our first slide position. Then we have F. Then the two quarter notes, we have F into E flat, which is 1, 3. So if we're looking at measure 6, we have 1, 1, 3. Okay? So now let's just do measures 5 and 6 together. Here we go. 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, and. So some may have missed the G, or probably missed hitting the G. Here's probably why. How much air did you take? And also the stream of your air. Was your air fast enough to go for that G? And so make sure you're taking up enough air and letting the pace of your air go fast. Not harder, but just faster for that G. So let's do measures 5 and 6 again. So 1, 2, ready, and. Cool. So now we're going to move forward. We're going to look at 7 and 8. Measure 7 and 8. You have D, which is in 4th position. Then you have C, which is in 6th position. And then the last note is B flat, which is in 1st position. One of the very first notes that you learn. And so it's like if you look at measures 8, 7, and 6, I know that's backwards, so 6, 7, and 8. If you look at those measures, that is the first 5 notes that you learn on B flat. It's just backwards. That's all it is. It's not a lot to it. And so, but then you have your rhythms of half notes and quarter notes. So now, let's start from the beginning and let's try to play the song all the way through. I know there's a repeat sign. Let's not worry about the repeat sign yet. And so we're going to take it at this tempo. Remember your slide numbers. Make sure you go exactly where you want to go. And also make sure you breathe. Here we go. And 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, and. Awesome. So now when I practice, again, I practice with the metronome, which is considered, in my case, Dr. Beat. And this is the last thing we're going to do. I know we're almost out of time. And so the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this. If you have a metronome, you can try it at tempo 70 or quarter note equals 70. Or no, that's a bit too slow. Let's take it faster. So that's tempo 80. And this is very key of practicing also at home. If that's your time, you can play it here. 1, 2, ready, and. comfortable with that, you can take it faster. And eventually, if you take it at 80, then eventually 90, then eventually 100, and then 110, and you basically conquer all that time of playing it at 80, 90, 100, 110. Eventually, you can get to a place that you can play it here. So that's right there. And that was 140, by the way. And you guys can do that too. So we're closing now. Thank you all for tuning in again. Be able to always, when you practice, do your B&B, which is breathe and buzz. And then do your in for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 8, in for 4, out for 12. And then we didn't do it, but you can, when you practice, in for 1, out for 4, in for 1, out for 8, and then challenge yourself to do in for 1 and then out for 12. And then put that into your warm-ups and all of your playing for slide precision and valve precision. So before we go, I do want to pray for everyone that's here. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for this opportunity for us to come together, even with all that's going on, God. But we know that you are a protector. We know that you are a healer, and that you are fighting for us in every single battle. We pray that you will protect every teacher, every student, every parent in this time, God. Help us not to just get through this, but to learn what we need to learn by you, God, of what we need to do in this time. So we thank you. We praise you. In your matchless name we pray. Amen. Also, make sure you are cleaning your instrument. If you still don't know how to clean your instrument, let me know, and I can send out videos of how to clean your instrument, to clean your mouthpiece, especially at this time, and also wash your hands for 20 to 30 seconds. Make sure you wash your hands, and then obviously practice social distancing. Well, it was great hearing from you guys. I hope you have fun. Continue playing, continue doing all that you do. God bless. See you next time.